Hello and welcome back everyone. Today we're solving part 2 of Physics O-Level past paper where I'll be solving questions 21 to 40. And this is paper 1 variant 1 from October-November 2024. Question 21. Air at atmospheric pressure and room temperature is trapped in an insulated container by a frictionless piston of negligible weight. The air can be compressed by placing masses on top of the piston. A mass of 1 kg is placed on the piston and the volume of the trapped air decreases from 100 cm3 to 90 cm3. So 1 kg mass decreased the volume by 10 cm3. Which statement is correct? A. Adding another 1 kg mass decreases the volume of the air by less than 10 cm3. So this is correct and let me explain why. It's because when you first try to compress the gas, the particles are first further apart and then they come even closer. Now to compress the gas by another 10 cm3, you will have to apply more mass on top of the piston. And that is because the closer the particles are, the harder it is to squeeze them further together. Okay, option B. Adding an additional 9 kg mass reduces the volume of the air to 0. So this is not possible because the air will never be of 0 volume. Option C. The pressure of the trapped air is less than atmospheric pressure when its volume is 90 cm3. So that's not true because when the piston was frictionless with no weight on top of it, the pressure inside was equal to the atmospheric pressure. And when we compressed it by placing a 1 kg mass, the pressure inside the container became larger than the atmospheric pressure. Option D. The temperature of the air decreases as the 1 kg mass is added. This is again not true because the temperature is room temperature. Therefore, only option A is correct. Question 22. A substance has a melting temperature of minus 17 degrees Celsius and a boiling temperature of 117 degrees Celsius. In which state does the substance exist at minus 10 degrees Celsius and at 110 degrees Celsius? So if you find this question confusing, just draw a number line and write down the points we suggest and write down all the temperatures here. So minus 17 degrees Celsius comes first and then minus 10 degrees Celsius. And then 110 degrees Celsius and 117 degrees Celsius. So since the substance at minus 10 degrees Celsius and 110 degrees Celsius is between the range of the melting point and the boiling point, the substance will exist in the same exact state on both of these temperatures. And that is, they will both be liquids. Because after the melting point, the substance will turn into a liquid, and before the melting point, it will stay a liquid. So option C is the answer. Question 23. Thermal energy is supplied at a constant rate to a fixed mass of a substance that is initially solid. The graph shows how the temperature of the fixed mass of the substance varies with time. In which sections of the graph does the substance absorb latent heat? Now we know that when a substance absorbs latent heat, the heat is used to change the state of the object and the temperature will remain constant. From the graph we can see that the temperature is constant during X and Z. Therefore option C is the answer. Question 24. A piece of paper torn out of an exercise book is shown. Which process is being described? So the paper says, as the average kinetic energy of the molecules decreases, the space between them decreases and they move downwards. So this is the description of convection. So option B is correct. Question 25. A ray of light passes from glass to air. Which arrow shows the direction of the ray in air? Now we know that when a ray of light passes from more dense to less dense, it moves away from the normal. So only in option D, the ray of light is moving away from the normal. So option D is our answer. Question 26. A short-sighted student looks at a distant object. Which row shows the position of an image in a short-sighted eye and the type of lens used to correct short-sightedness? So we know that during short-sightedness, a diverging lens is used. So option A or D is our answer. And the position of the image in a short-sighted eye will be in front of the retina. And the diverging lens is used to help focus the light rays onto the retina. So option A is the answer. Question 27. A student makes 4 statements about infrared waves. Number 1. They can be seen by the human eye. So this is not correct. Number 2. They travel at 330 meters per second in air. This is also not correct. This is the speed for sound. Number 3. They are transverse waves. Now this is correct. And number 4. They are used by intruder alarms. This is also correct. Which statements are correct for infrared waves? So we know that 3 and 4 are correct. So option D is the answer. Question 28. Which waves are longitudinal? Now this is an easy question. All of the sound waves are longitudinal and almost every single wave except the sound wave are transverse. So option A is correct. 29. A person hears an echo after a sound hits a solid cliff face. What causes the echo? Now the definition of echo is the reflection of sound from a surface. So option C is true. Question 30. A plastic strip is rubbed with a cloth and the plastic becomes negatively charged. Which statement explains this? Now we know that when two objects are rubbed together, one of them will become negatively charged, and that is because the electrons are moving from the other object into that object. So the options are electrons are transferred from earth to the plastic. This is not correct. Option B. Electrons are transferred from the cloth to the plastic. Yes, this is correct because the plastic will become negatively charged. So option B is the answer. Question 31. Two parallel conducting plates are charged. The charge on the upper plate is positive. The charge on the lower plate is equal in size but negative. Which diagram shows the pattern and the direction of the electric field between the two plates? So the direction of the electric field always goes from the positive charge to the negative charge. So in here, option A and B are not correct, and between option C and D, only in C the direction of the electric field is from the positive terminal to the negative terminal. So option C is the correct answer. Question 32. Which quantity is defined as the electrical work done by a source in moving a unit charge around a complete circuit? Now this is just the definition for electromotive force. So option C is right. Question 33. 4 1.5 volt cells are connected in a circuit as shown. The switch is closed. What is the reading on the voltmeter? So this is sort of a tricky question. Because you have to look at the diagram properly. You can see that these two cells are connected in opposite polarity. So they will cancel each other out. And therefore only these two cells will remain. So each cell is 1.5 volt. So 1.5 plus 1.5 is 3 volt. And therefore 3 volt is the answer. Question 34. Two resistors are connected in series with the battery as shown. The readings on 3 voltmeters VO, V1 and V2 and the currents I0, I1 and I2 are shown. Which row gives values for the current I0 and the potential difference V0? So these two resistors are connected in series, and we know that in a series circuit the current in all points are equal and the EMF is equal to the sum of voltages across the two resistors. So I0 is equal to I1 and I2 and V0 is equal to the sum of V1 and V2. So option B is the correct answer. Question 35. The current in a home computer varies between 0.4 ampere and 1.2 ampere when the computer connected to the main supply. What is the reading of the most suitable fuse to use to protect the computer? Now 0.5 ampere is not correct since it is within the range of the home computer, and 1.2 ampere is also not correct since it's very close to the largest range. And 13 ampere is also not correct because it is too far away from the range of the computer. So option 1.5 ampere, that's the perfect range. So option 1.5 ampere is the perfect rating for the fuse, since it is close to the highest current of the computer. Question 36. Students are asked to draw the pattern and direction of the magnetic field due to a DC in a straight wire. Diagrams 1, 2 and 3 are 3 of their answers. The students do not know the direction of the current in the wire. Which diagrams show possible patterns and directions for the magnetic field due to the current in the wire? So this is also a trick question where you have to look at the diagram very carefully. In option 1 and 3, both of the magnetic fields are moving in the same direction. But in option 2, both magnetic field lines are moving in different directions, and we know that that is not possible. So only 1 and 3 are valid answers. So option B is correct. Question 37. Which row identifies the positive and negative particles of the atom? So this is a very easy question. The positive particle is proton and the negative particle is electron. So answer is A. 38. Question 38. The nuclide notation of a certain isotope of an element Q is RQZ. What is the total number of protons, neutrons and electrons in a neutral atom of this isotope? So in a neutral atom, R is equal to the nucleon number, which is proton plus neutron number, and Z is equal to the electron number or the atomic number. So the total number of protons plus neutrons plus electron is equal to R plus Z, which is option C. Question 39. Which list shows the planets in order of increasing distance from the Sun? This is also a very easy question. We know that the list of the planets is Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. A student spills ink on the page in a textbook that defines redshift. The ink covers the 3 important words 1, 2 and 3. Redshift is dash in the observed dash of electromagnetic radiation emitted from dash stars and galaxies. So we know that 3 is receding. So the answer is either A or C. And the definition of redshift is the frequency decreases and the wavelength increases. So only option C is fulfilling all 3 qualities. So only option C is correct.